JT here. Welcome to the huddle. The huddle is where I sit down with successful people from the world of sport and coaching. It's to learn more about their journey to greatness. Why do I have these conversations? Because success always leaves clues. I want to take a moment to thank you, whether you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook, or whether you're listening to the audio on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And here's my friendly reminder to you. The mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's wide open. So my challenge to you is to go all in on this conversation, to remove any distractions and get laser focus on the here and the now. And I guarantee you, you will gain a valuable nugget of wisdom that will not only help you succeed in sport, but more importantly, in the game of life. I wanted to join you today on a solo episode. I wanted to share some thoughts and ideas that have been at top of mind for me over the last few days. So first, I wanted to give you some context of where these thoughts and ideas came from. So I'm going to rewind a little bit and go back to my university days. And one of my roommates and teammates was a big Notre Dame Fighting Irish football fan. He loved everything Notre Dame. And it was in our third year where he read a book that was written by Coach Lou Holtz. So Coach Holtz was a longtime, really successful coach at Notre Dame. I'm unable to remember what the name of the book was, but there was one story that in the book that really resonated with me, 20 plus years ago, and it still sort of frames, offers some perspective to me today. So from what I remember, the story goes where Coach Holtz paints a picture with two different scenarios. Scenario one, you and your team are winning by 14 points. It's 14-0. And as you are ending the first half of the football game, the other team scores a touchdown. So the score at halftime is 14 for you, 7 for your opponent. Scenario two, the game is tied 7-7. And as you enter the half, your team scores a touchdown. So the score heading into the half is 14 for you and your team, 7 for your opponents. So I remember in the book, or at least Coach Holtz sharing the story prompted me to think this, what is the difference there? And the reality was the facts remain the same. The score was 14 for you and your team, 7 for your opponents. But then the question became about who actually has the momentum. And it's interesting because momentum is an idea that we often talk about in sport. But really, if you peel back momentum is a feeling, right? It's, again, The score, the facts remain the same. It's 14-7. But in those scenarios, it could be easy to say the momentum is different, right? Your opponent scores, they have the momentum going into half. You score, you have the momentum. So really, it's this idea of momentum being a state of mind. And as we stop and think and reflect on the idea of momentum being a sort of a feeling, really, it's a greater lesson on the power of perception. And perception, so we can come to a common understanding, is a higher conscious faculty. In other words, it's a mental muscle. It, like any muscle, the more you flex your perception muscle, the stronger it gets. And really, your perception is your point of view in life, right? That helps form your point of view in life. So, what I wanted to offer you this morning is actually, how do you live a rich and fulfilling life? How do you actually win at the game of life? And really, it starts when you start to flex your perception muscle. So I'm going to share with you 2 simple ideas to where you can flex that perception muscle, which will shift your perspective point of view in the game of life. So 1, it's acknowledging that up to this point, you have been doing your best, and it is based on your current level of awareness. So I want you to take a moment, and I want to remind you that many of us, the majority of us human beings, have been programmed and conditioned to allow our current results to control our thinking. I'll give you a prime example. We have been led to believe that the number on a scoreboard is how we're doing in life. That the number of zeros in our bank account is how we're doing in life. That the arbitrary mark of 0 to 100 is how we're doing in life. And although that is one measure of quote unquote success, it's realizing that it's simply feedback based on your past thoughts and actions. That's it. It has nothing to do with who you are, your self-worth, your value in this world. And it's understanding that the results are just a snapshot in time of past thoughts and actions. So again, it's important that you take a moment to acknowledge that you've done your best up to this point. And regardless of what has happened, it has made you into the strong and powerful being that you are today. 2, it's understanding that you are only beginning to scratch the surface of what is possible for you in your life. And it's interesting because we have been programmed and conditioned to think in terms of limits, in terms of lack and limitations of what's realistic, quote unquote, but understanding that the world is abundant, it's prosperous, it's rich. There's many more wins for you. There's much more greatness that you have yet to experience. So again, understand that whatever's happened up to this point is great, but it is preparing you for something greater. So when you remind yourself of those two simple ideas, you automatically start to shift your perception in the game of life, and it allows you to create that winning feeling, which then will allow you to live that rich and fulfilling life. So the big theme here is the importance of celebrating your past, creating your future. Celebrate your past, create your future. And when you start to remind yourself of those two simple ideas, you are well on your way to having a blessed day. So that's what I wanted to share with you today in the huddle. And as I remind you every time in the huddle, knowledge is potential power. It's the consistent and focused application of great knowledge that actually creates great results. So my challenge to you is to take one of these valuable nuggets of wisdom and go apply it to your life today. And as I like to remind you every week in the huddle, you are deserving of greatness. You are worthy of greatness. You are greatness. And my only ask from these conversations is if it resonated with you, if it touched your heart, then please share it with a friend, a loved one, a teammate, just someone in your life that you feel would benefit by listening to these positive, inspiring, and empowering ideas. The more people we have listening, understanding, and applying these simple ideas to their life, the more blessed this world would be. As always, I love having these conversations with you in the huddle. Have a blessed rest of your day.